Hey, what's up, John Sonmez here from simpleprogram.com. I'm actually in Venice, Italy, traveling here, I'm ready to go home. I've been away for enough. I need a routine. It's kind of hard to, running in Venice. I ran this morning, 10 miles. How do you do that? You might ask. Not so easy. I had to take a boat, a ferry over to another island. It's a bigger island. It's called Lido, and run along there, which was a pretty cool run, but yeah, it's challenging to figure out sometimes places to run. Didn't want to run in the gym today on the treadmill because that sucks. Running 2 hours on a treadmill, not the best. So anyway, I am doing a book review today. A book that I read on my Kindle. I know some of you are like, wow, John read a book? He didn't listen to the audio of a book? Come on, guys. Seriously. What are we trying to prove here? We're trying to get the information, right? So, in fact, I shouldn't even, that should be it. This is it. I'm just going to say I read a book from now on, and you guys can guess whether it was the audio or not. So, what is the book? Well, before I get into that, let me give you a link to my playlist of all my book reviews and explain a little bit to you, if you're new to the channel, because I haven't done a book review in a little bit, what my reviews are. They're just my opinion on the book. Sometimes they talk about the book. Sometimes they talk about how I felt after I read the book. But it is a good way to filter through books that you are interested in reading, because there are millions of books out there. You have in your lifetime not a lot of time to read all the books that exist. So I take a filtered list. I only take books that are highly recommended by successful people, usually. And then I do reviews on those books after I read them. So you can take my reviews and you can filter down the list even better. Okay, if you want to read all the books that I do, they're always here, because every book that I do, I put on this channel. So, the book I'm talking about today is called Your Erroneous Zones. It's by Dr. Wayne Dyer. Now, here's the thing. The book is called Your Erroneous Zones. Erroneous Zones. Not Your Erogenous Zones. Don't get that book, okay? I don't know about that. But if you need some instruction on your erogenous zones, you've come to the wrong place. That's it. So anyway, your Erroneous Zones. It's a fairly old book, not really old, but I think is it 1960s, 70s? I don't know. It's not a new book. Okay, Dr. Wayne Dyer died a few years ago. A really cool guy, really awesome guy. I did a book review on one of his other books called I Can See Clearly Now. You can check that out here. It wasn't perhaps my favorite, but the guy is pretty awesome. I heard him on James Altucher's podcast, and I'd heard him probably some other places as well, but he just really good guy. Really knows it. I resonated highly with what he was saying. With this book is a more succinct version that says the same thing. I mean, it doesn't quite go into as many details and some of the things, but it's basically like, hey, look, don't let people put expectations on you, and don't put expectations on other people. The best relationships, the way that you thrive as a person is by doing this, and by avoiding these things and doing what you want to do. And actually, you can't really love a person. You can't really, be true if you don't have freedom to choose. If you feel obligated, if you're doing things based on guilt, and so many of us are doing things based on guilt and obligation and social norms. But in this book, this is why I like this book so much. I'm probably going to reread this book. I highlight the hell out of this book, which I normally don't do. But there's a ton of stuff about dealing with anger, about changing your emotional state, with let's see here. Like I said, not letting people put expectations on you, not putting expectations on other people, dealing with guilt. Okay, and I know a lot of you have that issue, living in the present moment. And then one of my favorite things they talks about, which is oh man, I just spaced it here. What was it? It was I said the external boundaries. What did it do? Oh, breaking rules, freedom, so breaking social norms, not doing what you're supposed to do, basically, breaking scofflaws, being a scofflaw, because if it doesn't, the difference between, what principles and moral code, if you will, versus man-made laws and like breaking the law doesn't fucking matter, right? If you get caught and you have to pay the penalty, then it could matter to you. But just because there's a law written doesn't make it a morally or ethically wrong thing to do. You have to make those decisions for yourself, and sometimes it is, of course, but you have to make the decision, and it's contextual. So I think that's really good too. And he talks about how schools and even parents, but mostly a lot schools, train us to follow rules and to respect authorities and all this stuff, and not to think for ourselves and not to challenge authority. He talks about not, just challenging authority, being an anarchist just for being a rebel's sake, but that there are times when you've got to just do what you think is right. I mean, and ultimately, if I could give a quick summary of what I think the book's primary message is this: it's that you have one life. This is your life. Don't let other people tell you how to live it. Live it as freely as you want. Make your choices. Don't let other people's dogma, religion, whatever their influence is, decide for you how you're going to live your life. And just live your life fully and accept the consequences and that come with it. And that's how you're going to be the most happy in life and the most free. It's like all of these things that you think you're supposed to do, there's nothing. There's nothing you're supposed to do. You have to do what you choose to do, and you make choices, and your life is your choices. And don't blame people. That's another thing he talks about in the book, is don't blame people. Don't expect things to be fair, right? Just take responsibility for your own life and your own actions, and just make your choices, the ones that you want to make. And and you've got to do that. You've got to do it for you, and that's the way that life is best. So, really good book. Highly, highly recommend it. It's not even a very long book, so. I think everyone should read this book. It's definitely one of my top books. I mean, it's going to go into my top book recommendation when I've got a list of books that when I'm coaching people and stuff, that I usually say, hey, you should read this book, and this is definitely one of those books. All right, that's all I got for you today. If you haven't subscribed already, make sure you click that subscribe button below. Click the bell so you don't miss any videos here, and I will talk to you next time. Take care.